डाले कदमों में फूल और चमन, होके चारों दिशाएं मगन। डाले कदमों में फूल और चमन, सुस्वागतम 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 सुस्वागतम। शत शत वंदन उस शक्ति को जिसने सुंदर संसार रचा, सुख दुख समता ममता गरिमा और विरह श्रृंगार बना। दिव्य चांद सी सूरज ज्योति और अमावस का अंधकार बना। शत शत वंदन उस शक्ति को जिससे सुंदर संसार बना। त्रिलोकीनाथ, विश्व वंदनीय अहिंसा के पुजारी भगवान महावीर स्वामी के चरणों में कोटि कोटि वंदना। पूज्य श्री सद्गुरु जी, रिस्पेक्टेड डिग्निटरीज, उपस्थित परम पूज्य साधु जी, परम पूज्य साध्वी जी, and wonderful audience. On this beautiful morning, on behalf of the Jaina Convention 2019 committee, I, Savita Jain, welcome you all to the most happening convention yet. We are very fortunate to have all these wonderful personalities with us today. Jai Jinendra and welcome. हृदय की सद्भावना से हम आप सभी के मंगलमय पदार्पण का स्वागत करते हैं। To begin today's ceremony, I would like to invite स्वर सम्राज्ञी पूज्य साध्वी जी श्री संघमित्रा जी महाराज साहेब to bless us with महामंगलकारी नमोकार मंत्र। पूज्य साध्वी जी, परम पूज्य साध्वी जी, संघमित्रा जी महाराज साहेब।
जय जिनेन्द्र। सर्वधर्म मंगलाचरण। हम सब हाथ जोड़ के अत्यंत विनम्रता से प्रभु के चरणों में ये प्रार्थना करते हैं कि हमारा ये जो ग्रह शांति, समाज शांति और विश्व शांति का ये जो प्रयास है, ये सफल रहे और हम इसके एक महत्वपूर्ण अंश बने, सबके मंगल और कल्याण के लिए। नमो अरहंताणं, नमो सिद्धाणं, नमो आयर्याणं, नमो अजायाणं, नमो लोये सवसाहुणम्। एसो पंचनमोकारो सवपावपणासनो, मंगलाणं च सवेसे, पढ़मं हवै मंगलम्, पढ़मं हवै मंगलम्। ईशावास्यमिदं सर्वं यत्किञ्च जगत्यां जगत्, तेन त्यक्तेन भुञ्जीथा मा घृतः कस्य स्विद्धनं, यं ब्रह्म उपनिषदै गायन्ति यं सामगा ध्यानावस्थित तद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरनर देवाय तस्मै नमः। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्। या कुन्देन्दुतुषारहारधवला या शुभ्रवस्त्रावृता या वीणावरदण्डमण्डितकरा या श्वेतपद्मासना या ब्रह्माच्युतशङ्कर प्रभृतिभिर्देवैः सदा वन्दिता सा मां पातु सरस्वती भगवती निःशेषजाड्यापहा। ॐ सहनावतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। एक छोटी सी बहुत सुंदर सी प्रार्थना जिनके शासन में हम बैठे हैं, उन महावीर प्रभु के चरणों में हम क्या प्रार्थना करते हैं। मैं चाहती हूँ जहाँ भी आपको लगे साथ गाना है, क्योंकि यह हम सब की भावना है, तो हम सब मिलके साथ गा सकते हैं। मत भूल वीर की वाणी को, मत भूल वीर की वाणी को, गंगा जल जैसी है निर्मल। तू सत्य अहिंसा और दया की जोत से जोत जलाता चल। मत भूल वीर की वाणी को, छोड़ो हिंसा प्रतिहिंसा को और कड़वा कभी नहीं बोलो। थोड़ा सा जग में है जीना, फिर अमृत में विष क्यों घोलो। सब जीवों से हो मैत्री भाव, सब जीवों से हो प्रेम भाव, और कदम से कदम मिलाता चल। तू सत्य अहिंसा और दया की जोत से जोत जलाता चल। मत भूल वीर की वाणी को, ये जीवन चिंतामणि है, तुम इसको समझो और समझाओ। द्वेष लोभ ईर्ष्या छोड़ो और क्रोध मान को दूर करो। मत याद रखो कोई भेद भाव, मत याद रखो कोई भेद भाव, और प्रेम का दरिया बहाता चल। तू सत्य अहिंसा और दया की ज्योत से ज्योत जलाता चल, मत भूल वीर की वाणी को। युग बीते सदियां बीत गई, ये वाणी रहेगी अमर सदा। जब तक चमकेंगे चांद सितारे, गूंजेगी जयकार सदा। गर वीर तुम्हें बनना है तो, गर वीर तुम्हें बनना है तो, तू वीर के ही गुण गाता चल। तू सत्य अहिंसा और दया की ज्योत से ज्योत जलाता चल। हो, हम सब साथ गाएं। हो, मत भूल वीर की वाणी को, मत भूल वीर की वाणी को। गंगा जल जैसी है निर्मल, तू सत्य अहिंसा और क्षमा की ज्योत से ज्योत जलाता चल। मत भूल वीर की वाणी को। जय जय।
खूब खूब धन्यवाद। जिंदगी है तो ख्वाब है, ख्वाब है तो मंजिलें है, मंजिलें है तो रास्ते है, रास्ते है तो मुश्किलें है, मुश्किलें है तो हौसला है और विश्वास है कि फाइटर हमेशा जीतता है। प्लीज वेलकम a 15-year-old prodigy, a rapper, singer and songwriter, Master Sparsh Shah.
No. I think there's a stopping point to it anyway, so it should.
Master Sparsh is getting ready. Here we go. आपके जोरदार तालियों के बीच आमंत्रित करती हूँ मास्टर स्पर्श शाह।
Jai Jinendra. Pranam to all the Gurujis here. Every single one of you. Pranam. And this Guru Vandana is obviously dedicated to all of you. And I really, really sincerely hope and pray that you appreciate it. Adimam Prithvinatham Adimam Nishparigraham Adimam Tirthanatham च ऋषभस्वामिनं स्तुमः मङ्गलं भगवान् वीरो मङ्गलं गौतम प्रभु मङ्गलं स्थूलिभद्राद्यः जैनधर्मोऽस्तु मङ्गलम् अज्ञानतिमिरान्धानां ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया नेत्रम् उन्मिलितं येन तस्मै सद्गुरवे नमः समझे बिना जिस स्वरूप को पाया दुखानंद समझाया तत्पद वंदन श्री सद्गुरु भगवन ओम श्री अनंत हरि नारायण. This bandish was taught to me by my Guruji, written by her Guruji, and I'm singing it for all the Gurus. It's called Guru Agya Mein in Rag Sindh Bhairavi. Guru Agya Mein nis din rahiye Guru Agya Mein nis din rahiye Guru Agya Mein nis din rahiye जो गुरु चाहे सो ही करिए जो गुरु चाहे सो ही करिए गुरु आज्ञा में निस दिन रहिए गुरु आज्ञा में निस दिन रहिए गुरु की महिमा गुरु की महिमा अपरम पार गुरु की महिमा अपरम पार अक्षर ओम में करत विहार अक्षर ओम में करत विहार गुरु चरणन रज मस्तक धरिए गुरु चरणन रज मस्तक धरिए भव सागर हंस हंस के तरिए गुरु आज्ञा में निस दिन रहिए गुरु आज्ञा में निस दिन रहिए निस दिन रहिए निस दिन रहिए. Jai Jinendra again, and my sincerest pranam to all the Gurujis. And I hope you liked this Guru Vandana. Jai Jinendra again. Thank you. Yep, thank you.
That was wonderful. Thank you, Sparsh. हमारी मंगलमयी परंपरा को कायम रखते हुए आइए करते हैं दीप प्रज्वलन. I would request convener and co-convener, to please lead the dignitaries for Deep Prajwalan. ॐ मङ्गलम् ओंकार मङ्गलम् आदिमङ्गलम् आदिनाथ मङ्गलम् ॐ मङ्गलम् ओंकार मङ्गलम् आदिमङ्गलम् आदिनाथ मङ्गलम् ॐ मङ्गलम् ओंकार मङ्गलम् वीर मङ्गलम् महावीर मङ्गलम् ॐ मङ्गलम् ओंकार मङ्गलम् वीर मङ्गलम् महावीर मङ्गलम् ॐ मङ्गलम् ॐ मङ्गलम् ॐ मङ्गलम्. Now I would like to invite on stage Mr. Mahesh Ji Wadar, the man responsible for planning this convention, to announce the commencement of Jaina 2019. आपकी जोरदार तालियों के साथ महेश जी वादर. We all are looking forward to most happening convention yet.
जय जिनेन्द्र, जय जिनेन्द्र, जय जिनेन्द्र. मंच पर उपस्थित आध्यात्म साधना के शिखर पुरुष, श्रमण संस्कृति के महान सूर्य चंद्रमा के समान ओजस्वी तेजस्वी आचार्य भगवंत, साधु साध्वी, श्रमणी वृंद, उपस्थित बंधुओं और बहनों, ये कितना अद्भुत संयोग है कि जैना कन्वेंशन 2019, जो कि 20वां कन्वेंशन है, और चर्चा होएगी 21वीं शताब्दी में जैन धर्म पर. मुझे विश्वास है कि लॉस एंजलिस में आयोजित हो रहा ये जैना कन्वेंशन जो भी है 19-20, हम उसको 21 बना के नए इतिहास का निर्माण करेंगे. मैं इस अवसर पर सभी आचार्य भगवंत, साधु साध्वी, श्रमणी जी का हार्दिक वंदन करता हूं, अभिनंदन करता हूं, और आप सभी साधार्मिक भाई बहनों का अभिवादन सहित स्वागत करता हूं. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great excitement that I welcome you all for the 20th biennial Jaina Convention in sunny Southern California. I take special note of the graceful presence of all gurus, dignitaries, speakers, and invited guests from near and as far as India and Australia. First, it is my solemn duty to pay homage to Gurudev Shri Chitrabhanuji, who passed away this year in March at the age of 97. Right here in Los Angeles, Gurudev Shri with late Muni Shri Sushil Kumarji inspired Jain community of North America in 2018 to form Jaina organization. That happened right here in Los Angeles. His dream of unity of all Jains without any distinction of sect, region, place, or spoken languages has made Federation of Jain Association in North America the largest and thriving organization. This is the first Jaina convention that we have is without his presence and guidance. I would humbly request everyone to please rise up to observe a moment of silence at this time in his honor. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Let me introduce our two co-conveners, Dr. Jaswant Modi and Dr. Nitin Shah, who are the backbones of this convention. Please. Jaswant Bhai, Dr. Jaswant Bhai. The Jaina Convention is not just about and for Jains. It is not a convention of Shwetambar and Digambar Jains. It is about value. The universal value that Jain religion teaches us and embraces. This next 3 days are the days we have all been waiting for. Wisdom from Acharyas, Gurudevs, and over 90 speakers. Religious practices in temple with Shikhar and Bhamti, with Chovisi, as you have seen, and attended it yesterday. There are three-dimensional depiction of Jain stories in the temple. Delicious meals, entertainment, exhibits, and a visit if anybody needs to go to Jain Center of Southern California. We have that arrangement. Are you guys ready for that? Our team of over 600 volunteers and 45 committees has spent hundreds of hours to present you a meaningful and satisfying Jaina convention. They have been working with full dedication for the past 1.5 years. They definitely deserve a louder applause. અને મારા તરફથી આપ વોલન્ટિયર્સ લોકોને દિલથી અને આત્મભાવે પ્રણામ. It is unbelievable the amount of work that they have done. I don't have words. I cannot express the words how I would say thank you. If you like what you see here, and if you meet anybody that has a shirt that says volunteers, please thank him. They will get inspired. Thank you. We have chosen the theme of the convention to be Jain religion in the 21st century. We feel that the practice of Jain principles of ahimsa, anekanvad, and aparigraha can help solve many problems in the world today. These three ideals can bring world peace, bring lasting happiness in our lives, and enrich our lives with spiritual prosperity. We have further identified what will help us achieve our ultimate goal of liberation from this life. We believe that seva, satsang, samarpan, sadhana, and self-realization are the steps on a spiritual ladder that will take us higher towards liberation. We are extremely fortunate to have more than 90 world-renowned spiritual guides, scholars, and practitioners to share their wisdom on these 5 topics. I wish to end here by paying tribute to late Gurudev Sri Chitrabanuji once more, by all of us together reciting his beloved song, Maitri Bhavana. And with that song, I now declare the convention open and let the festivities begin.
मैत्री भावनु पवित्र झरड़ू मुझ हैया मावया करे
मैत्री भावनु पवित्र झरणु मुझ हैया मावया करे
शुभ थाओ सकल विश्वनु एवी भावना नित्य रहे
शुभ थावो आ सकळ विश्वनु एवी भावना नित्य रहे.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a message from Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Ji Modi. He sent this message just a couple of days back, and I'm going to just read it for you. It is heartwarming to learn that the 20th Biennial Jain Convention is being held in Ontario, California from July 4th to 7, 2019, and a souvenir is being published to commemorate the occasion. Jainism is rooted in the concepts of ahimsa, non-violence, anekantvad, multi-sadness, and aparigraha, non-possession. It emphasizes practicing ahimsa in everyday life, in words and deeds. Lord Mahavira delivered the message of protection of the smallest species of the universe through non-violence. In today's world, aparigraha is must to usher in peace and harmony by moving away from innumerable desires. These concepts hold an added significance and relevance for today's society. The life, teachings, and thoughts of Lord Mahavira can act as a beacon not only for our nation, but for the entire humanity across the world. I am sure that the participants at the convention will imbibe the message of compassion and equality propounded in Jainism. My best wishes for all-round success of the 20th Biennial Jain Convention. May the souvenir propagate and popularize these messages for the Jain community and the Indian diaspora. Narendra Modi. Jai Jinendra. Thank you.
Thank you, Mahesh Uncle. I'm sure everyone is as excited as I am about Jaina 2019. True wisdom is what separates average people from extraordinary. वह जीवन नहीं जिसका अंत आ जाता है, अग्नि जिसे जला दे, हवा जिसे उड़ा दे, आकाश जिसे विलीन कर दे, वायु जिसे मिटा दे। जीवन वही है जो आपत्तियों को, कष्टों को एवं बाधाओं को चकनाचूर कर दे। Sadhguru Ji is an Indian yogi who founded the Isha Foundation, a non-profit organization which offers yoga programs worldwide and is involved in social outreach, education, and environmental initiatives. His books have appeared on the New York Times bestseller list in multiple categories. Ladies and gentlemen, आपकी भरपूर तालियों के साथ आमंत्रित करती हूँ परम पूज्य श्री सद्गुरु जी।
To promote individual growth, the work of the foundation covers conservation, education and health, and you'll find him astonishingly pragmatic on a range of very modern day problems. Let's meet Sadhguru.
For the very first time in the history of humanity, we have the necessary
In the next half hour, you're going to meet a man who has a devoted following across India and indeed around the world. While yoga and meditation are at the core of his teachings to promote individual growth, the work of the foundation covers conservation, education and health. And you'll find him astonishingly pragmatic on a range of very modern-day problems. Let's meet Sadhguru.
For the very first time in the history of humanity, we have the necessary resource, we have the necessary capability, we have the necessary technology to address every human problem on the planet. Even 25 years ago, we couldn't have dreamt of it. But the only thing that is missing is consciousness.
Today, the spotlight is on a project called Green Hands in India.
We started a mass campaign and 6 years I spent planting trees in people's heads. That's the most difficult terrain, believe me. And now in the last 6 years, we've been transplanting it, and that's happening much more easily.
Action for Rural Rejuvenation is mainly aimed at rejuvenating the human spirit.
This is an incredible movement that is started in Tamil Nadu. We want to see that this happens to the whole country. The idea is not necessarily about developing competitive sport, but the important thing is to bring the spirit of sport and revitalizing rural societies.
ईशा आउटरीच को वर्ष 2018 के लिए राष्ट्रीय खेल प्रोत्साहन पुरस्कार से सम्मानित किया जाता है। सद्गुरु जगदीश वासुदेव, संस्थापक ईशा आउटरीच।
English and computer skills are very essential to make these children come out of the hopeless economic and social pit they are in.
If you could first tell our viewers what is the idea behind it, initiative, insight, which is more specific towards entrepreneurs.
Whatever the nature of your business, ultimately, it is all about human well-being.
Isha Foundation, a non-religious, non-profit public service organization headquartered in southern India.
Sadhguru has established Isha Institute of Inner Sciences in North America as a space for inner transformation and complete well-being. Surrounded by the serene forests of the Cumberland Plateau, Isha Institute attracts visitors from around the world for its unique programs and special events.
You engineered the outside world in so many ways, but we've done nothing about this one. If you want to know well-being, in is the only way out. This is what I want to teach you too. That is, you can be completely intoxicated without any drug, just on life. This is a shift from wine to divine.
We are tracking a mammoth movement, an incredible rally starting from Kanyakumari, reaching up to the Himalayas, all in a month with the sole purpose of rejuvenating India's rivers.
Every state is responding. This is concurrence and this is wonderful.
I'm very happy that Sadhguru has taken up this cause. It should also become a people's movement for our own survival, for the survival of our children.
We are launching a campaign called Youth and Truth in the month of September. Youth and Truth, unplug with Sadhguru, ask whatever you want.
I want to know the truth about ambition,
technology, astrology, self-doubt.
What is the appropriate age to have sex?
Why do we have to wear a tie or a proper dress code in our placement?
For every one of you, your life is precious, isn't it? This precious life, where are you going to invest it? What is it that will be worthwhile today and worthwhile after 50 years for me to invest myself into? You invest your life into that. This will be a life of fulfillment.
He has a different swag. He's kind of Buddha to us. Sadhguru has become this new friend of youth.
You have to describe yourself in one word. Would you consider wildlife as two words or one word? It's…
President Pranab Mukherjee felicitating his Sadhguru for all his spiritual contribution.
Hello. Ladies and gentlemen, the moment we'll all have been waiting for is finally here. Param Pujya Sadhguruji.
Namaskaram, namaskaram to everyone. I said namaskaram. I thought you're already not in talking terms with me. It's too early for that. Well, culture of peace. This happens to be the 150th birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. In my words, I describe him as a man who found peaceful solutions for very violent problems on the planet. Many people find very violent solutions for peaceful situations. So what does peace mean? If we don't mess with anything, it's peaceful. Minus the human beings, everything is peaceful. So what is our essential problem? You have definitely heard of Charles Darwin. He said, "You were all monkeys." It was him, not me, okay. You were all monkeys and you became human. He also said other things. He said maybe a goat could have become a giraffe in so many millions of years. A pig could have become an elephant in many more million years. But a monkey became human rather quickly. Well, how quickly means, today the genetic scientists are telling us the DNA difference between you and a chimpanzee, that is all of us, not just you. Between the present human being and the chimpanzee, the DNA difference is only 1.23%. 1.23% is not much of a difference, isn't it? Not a great percentage, I'm saying. So physiologically, we have moved away from a chimpanzee only 1.23%. But in terms of intelligence and awareness, we have moved far away, worlds apart from a chimpanzee, and this is our problem right now. We have an intelligence for which we don't have a stable enough platform to handle it right. Human beings are suffering not because of anything else. Tell me, when is the last time somebody came and stabbed you? Hello? Nobody ever did? See, people have ignored you. I'm saying how much suffering is actually coming from outside. Minuscule, if any, isn't it? If you happen to be in a war zone or a famine or something, that's a different matter, we will excuse that. But for you, how much suffering is coming from outside? Minuscule, isn't it? The rest is all in self-help. The essential problem is just this: you have an intelligence for which you don't have a stable enough platform, and this intelligence just works against you all the time. You may call it stress, you may call it tension, you may call it violence, you may call it whatever. Essentially, it is your intelligence working against you, that's all it is. Why would my intelligence work against me? Why would my hand start slapping me? Out of control, isn't it? Something fundamentally wrong. So, what we call as peace, because it's fashionable for everybody to talk about world peace. Conferences and conferences keep happening about world peace without creating peaceful human beings. There is no such thing as world peace. It's just a joke. To shout a slogan for world peace, one Sunday morning you can go out, shout and go home and do your nonsense. But to create an individual human being, you need to be a Mahavir. Yes. You must have the courage to tackle the basis of violence within yourself. You must have the courage to address most fundamental issues of who you are. So, let's not talk about world peace. Individual human beings being peaceful is the way you can create a culture of peace. Every transaction, whether it is marketplace or marriage, every transaction there is a possibility of friction. Hello? Married people are all mum. Every transaction is a possible friction, isn't it? Unless there is a little culture of peace, every transaction can become violent. Different people handle this differently. It once happened, there was a man who was abusive to his wife, verbally violent, many times even physically violent, but she always remained peaceful. One day it struck him, how does she manage this, whatever I do? So one day he asked her, I abuse you badly, but you're peaceful. The other day I spat on your face, you were still peaceful. I kicked you, you're still peaceful. How do you do this? She said, I clean the toilet. What? You clean the toilet? If I use bad words, I clean the toilet? Really? If I spit on you, I clean the toilet? Really? Even if I beat you, yes, I clean the toilet. How does it help? She said, I clean the toilet with your toothbrush. There are different ways to handle it. Right now, we have this idea in the world that if we don't shoot at each other, we are peaceful. No, we are pointing guns at each other, but we are not shooting. This is not peace. I was just at the League of Nations headquarters in Geneva 3 days ago. I was just looking at the history of this place. Immediately after World War I, we created this League of Nations with a wonderful intent of creating a peaceful world, because we saw the horrors of World War I. People must understand this. World War I was as horrible as World War II. Only thing is, it was not as well documented as World War II. Then within a span of another 30 years, one more World War came, which is World War II, and you know much detail about that, I don't have to go into that. Then we came up with United Nations. But since World War II, till 2016 we have statistics, not a single day's break has been there on the planet. Some little battle or war has been going on continuously every day for this many years. So our intentions are fine. We may have an intention to be peaceful. When we see blood, when we see gory, when we see terrible things, we want peace. But there is violence in our thought, there is violence in our words, there is violence in the way we conduct our business, the violence in the way we conduct our ecology, there is violence in the way we run our nations, in everything. Because fundamentally, we have not settled this one person. Without knowing what it means to be peaceful within yourself, peace is not a dead thing. Because most people think, and most people will, only rest in peace. Once it happened, a man died. So his wife made a tombstone which said, "Rest in peace till we meet again." Well, resting in peace is no good if you remove the potential of what human being carries, peace will happen. That is, if you remove half your brain, everybody here will sit peacefully. But to keep all the potential of being human and to be peaceful, it takes a certain amount of attention. What is missing is this fundamental attention to find loopholes in who I am, to find loopholes in my own intelligence, to find loopholes in my own behavior, to find loopholes in my own concepts of what is life and what is everything else, and what is me and the other above all. Most human beings are experiencing their life as me versus the universe. Their daily experience of life is me versus the rest of the universe. This is a bad competition to get into. When you get into such a hopeless competition that it is you versus creation, you being peaceful is out of question. Such a thing will not happen. You may be scared of violence, so you may not do it, but that's not peace. Peace means if you sit here, you're in tune with everything else. Well, California, there's a lot of yoga going on here. Well, yoga means twisting and turning and what? Lululemon pants. It seems to be popular. So, no, the word yoga means union. What does union mean? See, we are one with the existence, not by choice. We are one with the existence because that is the nature of the existence. It is not because I sit here and I think I want to be one with the existence, it happens. You breathe, you drink, you eat, this is one with the existence. The existence is structured in such a way that you cannot be any other way. Only thing is, it is the magnanimity of creation that though you cannot exist for one moment here without being one with the existence in some way, consciously or unconsciously, it has given us individual experience. And most human beings have taken this individual experience rather too seriously. So seriously, they have become a world by themselves. These stupid thoughts and emotions that they have in their head has become a separate world, a totally different creation of its own. This is the basis of violence. Once it's me versus you, today we may behave in a civilized way. Tomorrow, instead of two chairs, there's only one chair between the two of us. I will push you and I will sit down, but if you also push, I will push you harder. Killing you is just a question of time. Hello? This is the evolution of violence. When it's you versus me about everything in the world, the question of killing is only a progression. It is not a sudden happening. Somebody kills somebody, war breaks out, don't think it suddenly breaks out. We're building it up all the time. All the time we're building it up. One day it explodes. Most people wake up only when it explodes. But if you sit here, being a separate creation from the rest of the creation, you have started the first steps of violence. It's begun. Maybe you think you're peaceful, but no, it has already begun. The struggles will begin slowly, it will progress. It takes some situations to ignite, but it is progressing. This idea, this individual experience, we must understand, though you are just a speck. Speck means, see, in the space, in the vast space of this cosmos, this solar system in which we are is a tiny little speck. Such a small speck, tomorrow morning if the entire solar system evaporates, it will not be missed in the creation. It's that small. In this tiny speck of a solar system, planet Earth is a micro speck. In that microspeck, Los Angeles is a super microspeck. In that, you are a big man. This is not a small problem. This is not a small problem, this is a very big problem. Because we've lost perspective as to who we are in this creation, first of all. In the sense, before you and me, countless number of people have come here and gone, isn't it? Where are they? You think they were all idiots? No, they were also great people. They also thought they're very smart people, but where are they now? All topsoil. Yes or no? This will also become topsoil. But before that, so much circus. Most people don't understand they are a part of this earth till you bury them. Yes. Now if you get it now, it will transform your life. If you get it from the maggots, it's good for the soil, not for you. Because though there is nothing individual about us, we are blessed with an individual experience, which is a tremendous thing. Now the word yoga does not mean twisting and turning and doing something on your head. It means you consciously obliterated the boundaries of your individuality. Once you consciously obliterate the boundaries of your individuality, you have no sense of conflict with anything. This is not in terms of what you will do and you will not do. You will do whatever is needed in the world, that's a different matter. But there is no sense of conflict with everything because you have consciously obliterated the boundaries of your own individuality. When we sit here, this is my body, that is your body, 100%. This can't be that, that can't be this, clearly separate. This is my mind and that's your mind. Here and there we may overlap, but clearly separate. But there is no such thing as my life and your life. Because this is a living cosmos. You have captured a little bit, I have captured a little bit. Depending upon how much you manage to capture, that is how significant your life will become. All sadhana is only towards this, how to become an enhanced life. Because our bodies and minds, the content of our bodies and the content of our mind is an accumulation. Something that we gathered from the planet, something that we gathered from social impressions. What we gather can be ours, can never ever be us, isn't it? Hello? You're very serious crowd, huh? I want you to understand this. The only and only reason why the whole world is not naturally enlightened is they have taken themselves too seriously. You have taken yourself too seriously. You think you're a big thing. No, you're just a pop-up on the planet. You pop up and pop out. If you understand, this is why it's very important, I think the Jain religion emphasizes this in a huge way, that you must be constantly conscious of your mortal nature. Mortality means just this, that we take a loan from planet Earth, it's up to you how many kgs you can carry, accordingly you can take. But when the time comes, you must shed it. Suppose I gave you… No, I will not, I'm just telling you. Suppose I gave you, let's say $1 million loan to you, and… Arre? He thinks I'm going to give it to him. I told you I won't give it to you. So I gave you $1 million loan, And 10 years later, I came to collect it. You made this million into $100 million. If I come, what will you do? You will welcome me, treat me well, pay back my million. Maybe with interest you're willing to give me 2 million or 3 million and sell me happily because you made 100 million. Suppose I gave you $1 million and 10 years later I'm coming, you have squandered this and you've lost it. Oh, terror will arise, isn't it so? This is all death is. Terror will arise because you've done nothing out of this. If you've done something fantastic out of it, all earth gave you is soil. Out of that, if you make something really fantastic, when time to pay back comes, what is a big deal? You pay and go. This is why the practices of Santhara and Mahasamadhi, these things are very significant because we want to pay back loan consciously. We don't want to be defaulters who will be pursued. Whatever the Indian, mythology, Yamadharmaraja need not come sitting on his buffalo chasing you. When you think it's time to pay back, you pay back. Once you know how to conduct your mortality gracefully, there is no violence in you. This is all. The whole problem is the instinct of survival is making you violent against everything else. Once you learn to handle this one aspect, your mortal nature, consciously, there is no struggle, there is no violence, there is no conflict within you. People keep asking me, Sadhguru, I've been doing sadhana for so long, I feel very peaceful and wonderful, but how do I know? So, because I saw on the video, they showed me a king cobra in my hand. So I tell them, we'll put you through a cobra test. Cobra test means this. You must know this, venom, whether it's cobra venom or scorpion venom or spider venom or bee venom, all those creatures who create venom are very complex creatures because venom is the most complex form of protein that you can find on this planet. It takes a certain capability within its physiology to do that, which also gives it a certain level of sensitivity. I learned this very early on. I saw when I was 6, 7 years of age, if I walked into a jungle and picked up a snake just like that, it simply came without any resistance. No other animal would come like that effortlessly. But if you show little anxiety, it'll bite you. So, the cobra is able to check your chemistry. It reads your chemistry, it can't see your expression on the face, it can't read your intent otherwise, but it reads your chemistry. This is so with all the venomous creatures. Right now, you saw that king cobra. He has enough venom to kill an elephant. If he bites you in the limbs, you may have 40 to 90 minutes to live. If he bites you in the body, you may have 6 to 8 minutes to live. But you saw, I'm not holding him by his head, I'm just holding him this way. He is free. If he wants to bite me, he can turn back and get me anytime. But he won't do that. Because for him, his venom is very precious. It takes a lot for him to manufacture this venom. He's not going to just throw it away unless he senses danger for his own life. So, to bring your very chemistry to such a space, but where there is no any kind of violence, that this has become peaceful. This is something that we need to do to individual human beings, because without peaceful human beings, there is no peaceful world. Well, this involves many things, the way you sit, the way you stand, what you eat, how you breathe, many aspects. Essentially, attention to every aspect of life, and above all, it is not you versus the universe. You are with the universe. You're just a speck in this universe. how can you be against it? How can you even imagine that your individual existence is a serious existence? It is not. It is just a happening. It is the magnanimity of creation that it gave you this much. How does one come to this? Well, all of you, largely, most of you come from Indian origin. The entire civilization invested in this. People keep asking me, why are these people popping up only in India? These guru creatures, why are they popping up only in India? I keep telling them, see, for example, United States. Yesterday was 243rd Independence Day celebrations. About 150 to 160 years ago, if you look back on United States, 97% of the US population was illiterate. Today, probably there's not a single person, everybody can read and write, they may not be educated, but they're not illiterate. How does this happen? The infrastructure of schoolrooms and teachers were created. Because of that, today everybody can read and write. Similarly, in India, for thousands of years, we created infrastructure, both physical and human infrastructure, to ensure that people focused on the inner well-being of the human being. This is not 1 or 2 days, thousands of years of investment. So there is dividend. Disruptions happened. Disruptions happened because of over 1,000 years of occupied life. But you must see this. Wherever these occupations happened in any other part of the world, nothing of their original culture remained. Normally they occupied them only for 100, 200 years and it was totally taken away. Over 1,000 years of occupation. Still we have managed to keep, well, tattered a bit, tattered quite a bit, but still we've managed to keep it alive. It is time to revive once again in a big way, because we are coming to a place in the world, we are coming to a time in the world. As human beings, we have reached a place, as a generation of people, we have reached a place where never before humanity knew these kind of comforts and conveniences as you are enjoying right now in this world. Never before human survival was as well organized as it is organized today. Never before we had the capability to communicate with people as we can communicate today because of technology that we have. I want you to imagine the life of, with all utmost reverence I'm saying this, the 24 Tirthankars, going back to many millennia. If they spoke village to village, they traveled. If they spoke, 10 people gathered. Out of these 10 people, 2 idiots never understood what is being said. 2 idiots misunderstood. 2 idiots resisted. 2 ignored. Only 2 got it. Yes or no? In spite of that, their entire life being dedicated to this, they created a certain movement on those times. But today, we can sit here and speak to the entire world if we wish, sitting right here. We don't have to go anywhere. Sitting right here, you can speak to the entire world. When such technologies are available to us, if we do not transform humanity in this generation, it's a crime against humanity. People keep asking me, Sadhguru, you use technology, you do this, do that. This whole thing started like this. About 10 years ago, I happened to meet somebody who is some kind of an expert in internet affairs. I never get to browse anything or see anything on the net, so I just asked him, what are people looking for? Everybody is on the screen, what are they looking for? Very casually he says, Sadhguru, 70% of the data is pornography. I said, what? It can't be 70%. He said, no, it's 70%. Then I check with a few other people. Everybody says, yeah, it's around that much. And they're telling me 1.6 million children below 15 years of age are being sold on the internet every year. We must understand this. Once we come to sell our children, we have hit the bottom. There's no further place to go. Hello? There's no further place to sink, we've hit the bottom, isn't it? A generation which knows the highest level of comfort and convenience, a generation which can do incredible things which are almost superhuman compared to what we could do 100 years ago. This generation, all we do is 70% of our communication is pornography and we sell our children. That day I thought, this damn technology we must exploit. And that's why I'm all over the place on the technological platforms. Today I must say this with some glee, at least in India this is true. Even if somebody wants to access pornography, halfway down Sadhguru pops up. This is a time, this is a very unique time in our lives because for a long time we've been trying to settle human beings with the promise of heaven. What is in heaven? You Jains don't know. Because you don't go to heaven, you're not aspiring for heaven. We are a culture where we are seeking mukti, liberation, not heaven. But it's good to know. Just in case. In the Hindu heaven, food is very good. If you're a foodie, that's where you must go. In another place, there are these white-gowned ladies floating around in the clouds. If you like that kind of ambience, you must go there. If you go to another place, you will encounter virgin problems. If that's what you're seeking, that's where you must go. But what is the qualification to get there? This happened in a Sunday school in Alabama. Anybody from Alabama? Before I crack a joke, I make sure you're not here. So, the Sunday school teacher was going on full fire. Unfortunately, the audience were not like you, they were all tiny tots, catch them young policy. In full fire rhetoric it was going on, then he stopped midway and asked, "What do you have to do to go to heaven?" Little Mary in the front row stood up and said, "If I scrub the church floor every Sunday morning, I will go to heaven." Absolutely. Another little girl stood up and said, "If I share 50% of my pocket money with my less privileged friend, I will go to heaven." Correct. Another little boy stood up and said, "If I help those who are in need, I will go to heaven." Correct. Little Tommy in the back bench stood up and said, "You got to die first." That's a qualification, you got to die first. If you die, depending upon your culture, we will either bury you or burn you or cut you and throw you to the birds. One good thing, if you have not done anything ecologically sensitive, this is one good thing, then when you die, you will put this body back into the earth. It's a very good thing, unless you're Elon Musk. This is a piece of this planet. Must go back, isn't it? If you leave it willingly, it's best. Otherwise, anyway, it'll be taken. So you left your body here, you went to heaven, you don't have a body. Now what do you do with good food and virgins? So I'm telling you, once people start thinking logically and asking questions, heaven will start collapsing. Today in any group of people, if you ask them, how many of you believe you will go to heaven? Out of 1,000 people, 2-3 people raise their hands. Just 100 years ago, if you asked this question, 80% would have raised their hand. What does this mean? Heaven is collapsing. But as heaven sellers lose their market, drug peddlers will gain their market. Yes, it's beginning to happen in a big way. Consumption of alcohol and drugs is massive and multiplying manifold. But we have a cusp of approximately, I would say, 15 to 30 years. In these 15 to 30 years, if we do not teach people how to simply sit here and be blissed out by our own nature, believe me, in another 50 to 60 years' time, 90% of humanity will be under the influence of drugs and alcohol, if we don't do this work now. So this time that we are here as a generation is very important because this is a transition where heavens have collapsed, drug peddlers are gaining market. This is the time to show people how this is the greatest chemical factory in the universe right now. Whatever you want to do with this, the highest level of experience you can have, if you know how to manage this, if we don't teach them this, they will go under chemical influence. I am not even looking at this morally. It's not a moral issue for me. Somebody drinks, somebody drugs, it's not a moral issue for me. The concern is this: if 90% of humanity goes on alcohol and drugs, the next generation that we produce will be less than who we are. The next generation we produce must always be at least one step ahead of us. If they are behind us, again, this is a crime against humanity. We are just on the verge of committing that. We are just on the verge of committing that crime if we don't actively stand up and exploit every technology that is there to build peaceful and blissful human beings in this world. This is the most important thing that needs to be done. Technology does not mean iPhone 11. What are you going to do with it? You're not even using the 10 fully. You can certain cell phone companies did a survey in India and they found 97% of the people use less than 7% of a cell phone's capabilities. So with 1/10 of the technology, you could do all the nonsense that you're doing on the phone. You don't need so much technology, it is simply there. But the greatest technology, the greatest piece of technology on the planet is this one. If you don't even read the user's manual, how this works, what can we do to make this function at its highest level? Function at highest level does not mean just doing something in the world. If you sit here, is it a fantastic experience for you just to sit here? This is important. Only if you do this, there will be a peaceful world. If sitting here is, I want to do something, when our actions are compulsive, violence is inevitable. Only when our actions are conscious, there will be peaceful world. Not only that, only when our actions, when our thought, emotion, energy and activity becomes conscious process, we can claim we are human, otherwise there is an evolutionary issue. Hello? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sadhguruji. The way you convey complex topics and life lessons in a very light manner that commoners like us can understand and digest is incredible. Guru Govind dono khade काखे लागू पाँव, गुरु गोविंद दोनों रघुवर गोविंद दियो बताए. Thank you, Sadhguruji. It has been an honor hearing from Sadhguruji. Next, we have yet another dynamic speaker, Mr. Philip Wallen. Mr. Philip Wallen is an Australian philanthropist. At the age of 34, he was named the brightest and best by the Australian Business Magazine. However, at the age of 40, after witnessing cruelty in the world, he decided to give up everything he owned. Today, he devotes his life to children, animals, and homeless. He supports over 500 projects in over 40 countries. His contributions have led to the creation of numerous schools, shelters, clinics, and scholarships. Ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor to welcome Mr. Philip Wallen.
Namaskara, Jaina. Ladies and gentlemen, it just occurs to me that I was born on the 15th of August, India's Independence Day. My father was born on the 2nd of October, Mahatma Gandhi's birthday. And the highest award I ever received from my own country was on the 26th of January, India's Republic Day. And 4 generations of my family went to the same school in Bangalore, Bishop Cotton's. It is sometimes referred to as the Eton of the East, but I refer to Eton as the Bishop Cotton's of the West. King Lear, late at night on the cliffs, asks the blind Earl of Gloucester, "How do you see the world?" And the blind man Gloucester replies, "I see it feelingly." Gloucester must have been a Jain. Rudyard Kipling, who lived in India, wrote of young men dying in World War I. And if they ask you why we died, tell them that our fathers lied. That legacy of lies continues today. Everything we think we know about the meat and dairy industry is a preposterous lie. You see, the world today is crying out for only 2 things: leadership and the truth. Today, I'm simply going to tell you the truth. The wise Chinese have a term for it: Zhengzhao. Listen to the friend who tells you the truth, even when it hurts. So let's just tell the truth, fearlessly and forcefully. That is what the Sanskrit word satyagraha means, the truth force. Now, Brendan Kennelly in the Book of Judas wrote, "If you want to serve your age, betray it." But what does that mean, to betray your age? It means expose its lies, humiliate its conceits, debunk its arrogance, and condemn them to face harsher truths. Alvin Toffler said that the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. Now, I have long admired Count Moltke, the great Prussian general, a soldier who preferred to think rather than to speak, a man silent in 7 languages. You see, it takes courage to stand up and speak. It also takes courage to sit down and listen. Now, there was a time when my favorite food was filet mignon and lobster, a fact for which I am so profoundly ashamed today. So, what made me as a young investment banker decide to take everything I owned and give it away with warm hands and die broke? And I confess so far we're right on budget. What made me decide to take this radical step? To take nothing but pictures, own nothing but memories, leave nothing but footprints, kill nothing but time. You see, something happened to me. I had been to Dante's Inferno, but unlike Dante Alighieri, I did not have Beatrice for my love, nor Virgil for my guide. I heard the screams of my dying father as his body was ravaged by the many cancers that killed him. And I realized I'd heard those screams before. In the slaughterhouse, on the cattle ships to the Middle East, and a dying mother wail as a harpoon explodes in her brain as she calls out to her calf. Their cries were the cries of my father. They were identical. And I discovered that when we suffer as equals. And in their capacity to suffer, a dog is a pig, is a bear, is a boy. So when I look into your faces here today, I recall the words of the Greek poet Horace. Change only the name, and my story is also about you. So in 2 minutes, this is where I spend my life today. I hope I know how to operate this technology. My wife usually does it, but right now she's gravely ill, and I don't understand this high-tech stuff. They say that behind every successful man, there's a very surprised woman. In China, 7,000 magnificent moon bears, their limbs torn off in traps, are imprisoned in steel coffins welded shut as a catheter drains bile into a bucket, which the Chinese drink. For 26 years, the bears can't move, they go insane. In Korea, dogs are beaten to death on the marketplace because Korean butchers believe that fear and suffering makes the meat tasty. In South Africa, 5,000 tame orphan lions are drugged and killed with guns and spears or torn apart by hunting dogs, and they call it sport. In Canada, 300,000 baby seal pups are clubbed and skinned alive on the ice, their tiny hearts still beating. And in Australia, my own country, we killed 90 million kangaroos who adorn our coat of arms, the largest land animal slaughter on the planet, and we sent millions of our animals born on Australian soil on death ships to the Middle East, where their eyes are stabbed out and their tendons are slashed. Every dollar I invested in the Basatine slaughterhouse in Cairo was utterly wasted. The cruelty there is just as bad as ever. In Asia, dogs are suspended on hooks and skinned alive to make trim in fur coats sold in the West. And we treat the ocean as our private pantry and as a public toilet. The Pacific gyre now is so full of plastic, junk, and human feces, it has created a floating footprint bigger than India. And it'll treble in the next 10 years. By 2050, there will be more plastic in the ocean than fish. And dolphins and whales are stabbed to death in the shallows of Japan and the Faroe Islands. Huge bays are blood red. 100 million sharks are torn from the sea, their fins are hacked off, and their bodies thrown overboard to die agonizing deaths for shark fin soup. And factory farms spew chemicals into the ocean, creating hypoxic dead zones of 1 million square kilometers, killing coral, plants, and ocean animals. And so-called unviable dairy calves who cannot be sold for veal are killed by farmers smashing in their skulls with a hammer or jumping on their rib cages and crushing their hearts. And billions of bouncy little baby chicks are ground up alive in mechanical mincers simply because they are male. And religious sacrifices of innocent animals make the 21st century look like the new Dark Ages. Whilst children starve in poor countries because their croplands now produce meat for foreigners. I won't show you any more pictures, but that's where I spend my life nowadays. Now, in human history, only 100 billion human beings have ever lived. 7 billion people are alive today. And we humans torture and kill 2 billion sentient, living, loving animals every week. We stab and suffocate 1 billion ocean animals every 8 hours. If we were killed at the same rate, the human species would be wiped out in one weekend. Trillions of fish are ground up into pellets to feed to livestock. Vegetarian cows are now the world's largest ocean predators. The oceans are dying in our time. By 2048, all our fisheries will be dead, the lungs and the arteries of the earth. And oceans sequester more CO2 than all the forests of the world put together. 10,000 entire species are wiped out every year because of the actions of one species, and we now face the 6th mass extinction in cosmological history. It is a crime of unimaginable proportions. Now, if any of these algorithms are correct, and they all are, it means that no child under the age of 5 is ever going to reach retirement age. It is a mathematical impossibility. If that does not chill your blood. Now, you know there are 2 peak predators on this planet: human beings on land and orcas in the ocean. In the 20th century, human beings killed 200 million members of their own species. Orcas killed none. And in the 20th century, you should not rely on your government either. In this century, 100 million people have been killed by their own governments. Now, Victor Hugo said, "There is nothing more powerful than an idea whose time has come." But I say, there is nothing more destructive than a bad idea whose time has passed. The time for meat has passed. Now, happily, the world is changing. 20 years ago, Twitter was a bird sound. www was a stuck keyboard. Cloud was in the sky. Skype was a typo. 3G was a parking space. Google was a baby's burp. And Al-Qaeda was my plumber. Now, recently I spoke in the European Parliament in Brussels, the Israeli Knesset Parliament in Jerusalem, the Parliament in The Hague, and the Parliament of World Religions in Melbourne. And in all these speeches I said, the most beautiful word ever written in any language, in any country, at any time in human history came from India. From the Upanishads 3,000 years ago. Ahimsa, non-violence to any living being. It is beautiful not because it describes our nationality, our politics, our religion, our diet, or our lifestyle, but because it describes our character. Our Ahimsa describes our character. It says that we reject violence in all its forms in our streets, our homes, our thoughts, our hearts, and at our dining tables. You see, this is not just about animal rights. It's also about human wrongs. Animal rights is now the greatest social justice issue since the abolition of slavery. It is a revolutionary event more powerful than the Industrial Revolution, the Reformation, the Hubble telescope, or anything ever conceived by Galileo, Copernicus, Einstein, Darwin, or Freud. Because Ahimsa protects the most precious of all things, life. The vegan movement and the people in this room are on the right side of history. We are creating the new enlightenment, the second Renaissance. So let it begin again with Ahimsa. So I can tell you why and also tell you how. I know the golden rule that everyone here knows came from the New Testament of Jesus. Do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. Treat each other as you'd like them to treat you. But that idea goes back to the Babylonian Jew, Hillel, 70 years BC. And it goes back even further to the Analects of Confucius, 500 years BCE. And further still, to the beating heart at the birth of Jainism and beyond. Indeed, it predates the dawn of writing in Mesopotamia 6,000 years ago. Now, the anthropologist Margaret Mead said, "Never doubt that a few committed people can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has." Well, there are only 13 million Jews in the world, but they play such a vibrant role in international affairs. Look at the number of Nobel Prizes they win every year. My wife Trix and I sat in the stadium during the Olympics full of pride as Australia, with a population smaller than Florida, won more medals than every country in the world except for the United States and Russia. Tibet's population is only 3 million. But who hasn't heard of the plight of the Tibetan? But there are over 600 million vegetarians and vegans in the world. And that is bigger than the United States, England, France, Germany, Spain, Italy, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Israel, all put together. If we were one nation, we would be bigger than the 27 nations of the European Union. We are bigger than NATO. We are bigger than OPEC. And despite this massive demographic footprint, we are still drowned out by the raucous hunting, shooting, killing cartels who believe that violence is the answer when it should not even be a question. But we live in the world of sound bites and tweets. It reminds me of Hannah Arendt's book, in her book, Eichmann in Jerusalem, where she coins the term, the banality of evil. This is how a deceitful journalist at the Australian of the Year Awards twisted by innocent words. Mr. Waller, I'm surprised a man of your standing would say that meat is murder, a little old lady with a budgerigar is offending God, livestock production is unethical, there will be no peace until we stop killing animals, industry is unattractive, and animals are like human children. Can't you see how offensive that is to our rural audience? So this was my diplomatic counterpunch. You certainly bludgeoned the English language to death, but if you're going to quote me, please do it honestly. I did say, a robin redbreast in a cage puts all heaven in a rage. But that came from William Blake, the poet, in Auguries of Innocence. And by the way, it was the Prophet Muhammad who said, a sparrow does not fall from the sky without Allah knowing. And I did say the commandment, thou shalt not kill, applies to the murder of any living being. It was inscribed on the human breast long before it was proclaimed from Mount Sinai. As long as there are slaughterhouses, there will be battlefields. But actually, that was Leo Tolstoy. And I agree, I did say the roots of cruelty are not strong, just widespread. But a time will come when inhumanity protected by custom will succumb to humanity championed by thought. A man is ethical only when all life is sacred to him. But that was Albert Schweitzer, winner of the Nobel Prize, not me. And I did say, as long as we kill animals, there will never be peace in the world. It is only a short step to the concentration camps of Hitler and Stalin. There will be no justice as long as man stands with a knife and destroys those who are weaker than him. But that was Isaac Singer, winner of the Nobel Prize. And yes, I did say, meat eaters are complicit in murder. Without a consumer, there is no killer. But that was from Acharya Hemachandra, the 12th century Jain scholar. And yes, I did have something to say about animals and children. The wolf will lie down with the lamb, the leopard with the young goat, the young lion with the young ones of the herd, and a little child will lead them. Well, that came from the prophet Isaiah. And no, I didn't say a thing at all about greed and ambition. That wasn't me. That was Jesus. Blame him. Behold the birds of the air and the lilies of the field. King Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed as one of these. And for good measure, he threw in a left hook and an uppercut. He said, whatever you do to the least of these, my brethren, you did it to me. So are you as a journalist suggesting that your rural audience is offended by the Nobel Prize winners and the prophets? Or should I just go home and burn my books? I seem to recall that was the strategy favored by Pol Pot. Well, the journalist was speechless and attacked me for being a radical. Ladies and gentlemen, we need another radical Copernicus and Galileo to remind us that we are not the center of the universe. Animals are not just other species, they are other nations, and we murder them at our own peril. The astrophysicist Carl Sagan's picture from the Voyager spacecraft shows a tiny microscopic pinhole from space. And he described planet Earth as our beautiful home, our pale blue dot, suspended on a sunbeam. Well, today, human beings and slaughterhouse animals comprise 96% of the biomass of land animals. 96% humans and slaughter animals. Wild animals have been decimated down to 4%. 70% of all the birds on the planet are now in cages awaiting slaughter. We have turned Carl Sagan's beautiful blue planet Earth into blood-stained planet slaughterhouse. What a legacy we've left. Now, the great historian Barbara Tuchman defined folly as acting against our own best interests. And Occam's razor, named after the 14th century Jesuit priest, said this: when presented with a number of solutions to a problem, the simplest one is always the best. So let's just apply these tests to the meat and dairy industry. Forest depletion by these industry costs 3 times as much as the global financial crisis. Zoonotic diseases from factory farms to people now threaten a pandemic to rival the Black Death, which wiped out half of Europe. The World Bank says that one influenza pandemic alone would cost $3 trillion, and the CDC says there are at least 100 zoonotic diseases coming right at us. And meat and dairy is killing us with cancers, heart disease, osteoporosis, and diabetes. Harvard University says that 1/3 of early deaths could be prevented by everyone giving up meat. And Dr. Kasliwal warned in The Lancet that India now accounts for 70% of the world's cardiovascular disease because of their addiction to dairy. And Medicare and bad diets have bankrupted the United States. They would need $8 trillion invested in treasury bills just to pay the interest, and they've got precisely zero. Laddus. They could shut down every school, university, Army, Navy, Air Force, Homeland Security, FBI, and CIA, and they still will not be able to pay for it. So how big is $8 trillion? Well, that's how much the whole of Asia needs for the next 10 years for all their electricity projects, roads, water, telecommunications, high-speed rail across China, ports in Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, India, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka, and the new Silk Road from Central Asia to Europe. That's $8 trillion. It's 4 times as big as India's GDP and double the total reserves of India and China combined. Now, my TV debate on the ABC to get animals off the menu went viral with 24 million viewers and was independently translated in over 20 languages. Well, Oxford University calculated that if it was adopted, it would save $30 trillion in health and environmental damage alone. $30 trillion. If they followed the Jain model, $30 trillion a year. And antibiotics pumped into animals cause antimicrobial resistance in humans, which will kill 10 million people per annum by 2050 and would cost the global community $100 trillion a year. If you thought 8 trillion was a big number, what do you think about 100 trillion? That is 60 times as much as what the whole world spends on aircraft carriers, missiles, bombs, bullets, drones, destroyers, tanks, planes, mines, guns, and spies. And that's caused by the meat and dairy industry. Now, I'm sure all of you would know that water is the new oil. Nations will soon be going to war over it. Underground aquifers that took millions of years to fill are now running dry. As a young Boy Scout in Bangalore, I drilled my first well, and we struck sweet water at 80 feet. Today, I'm building an orphanage nearby, and at 800 feet, we're sucking mud. In China, at 3,000 feet, the drill head is still dry, and China has the best engineers and hydrologists in the world. Now, you would be outraged if 10 jumbo jets crashed every day with no survivors. Well, the same number of children die every day through water-related diseases. The mighty Colorado River, the Rio Grande, the Indus, and the Yellow Rivers now frequently no longer reach the sea, sucked dry by the meat and dairy industry, whilst 4 billion people suffer from water scarcity. So why do I speak to you about water? Because it takes 50,000 liters of water to produce 1 kilo of beef, 1 swimming pool. It takes 1,000 liters of water to produce 1 liter of milk, and a dairyman gets 28 cents a liter for it. What a preposterously stupid industry. 1 billion people today are hungry. 20 million people will die this year from malnutrition. Cutting meat by only 10% will feed 100 million people, and going vegan will end malnutrition forever. And food prices are skyrocketing. It used to cost me for my projects in Southeast Asia $197 a ton for Thai rice. And then it went up to $1,015 a ton, a five-fold increase in 5 months. And poor countries sell their grain to the West for hard currency, whilst their own children starve in their arms. And the West feeds it to livestock. So we can eat a steak. I bet I'm not the only one in the room who thinks this is a crime. Believe me, every morsel of meat we eat is slapping the tear-stained face of a hungry child. When I look into her eyes, do I remain silent? If everyone ate a Western diet, we would need 2 planet Earths to feed us. We've only got one, and she is dying. The Earth can produce enough food for everyone's need, but not enough for everyone's greed. And greenhouse gas emissions from livestock now vastly exceed that of transport, cars, trains, lorries, buses, the whole lot. And their methane is 24 times more potent than CO2. If the cattle industry was a nation, it would create more greenhouse gas emissions than every country in the world except for the US and China. And the melting Siberian permafrost is now a ticking time bomb. When it releases its sequestered gas, the game is over. If you want to be terrified, please visit the Yamal Peninsula in Russia. Now, the Himalayan ice fields are correctly called the third pole because they irrigate half the world's population through the Ganges, the Indus, the Brahmaputra, the Yangtze, the Yellow Rivers, the Mekong, and the Irrawaddy. And these glaciers are melting fast. I presented these numbers in a speech to 2,000 wealthy Indian entrepreneurs in New Delhi, including Amartya Sen, who had just won India's Nobel in economics. And I mentioned to Mohammed Yunus after he won the Nobel that all the good that he had done with Grameen Bank would vanish when Bangladesh drowns, to say nothing about Manila, Mumbai, Calcutta, Ho Chi Minh City, and Bangkok, and all of the Mediterranean. And then we had dinner with Al Gore, and I gave him the same numbers. And more recently, I gave a speech in Melbourne with Dr. Peter Doherty, Australia's Nobel laureate in medicine. No arguments with me from any of these great minds, these Nobel laureates. They all understood. But I get plenty of arguments from the meat and dairy lobby. So Upton Sinclair was right. It is impossible to get a man to understand something when his salary depends on him not understanding it. Admiral Denny McGinn, the chief of US warfighting requirements, said, "We have learned that nations will raid and invade long before they starve. And we freak out in the West when 1,000 refugees arrive on our shores. Just imagine greenhouse gas emissions hitting 500 parts per million or a 3-degree temperature rise, creating 100 million eco-refugees. This calamity will reshape the geopolitical landscape forever. We are facing the perfect storm. If any nation had developed weapons that could wreak such havoc on the planet, we would launch a preemptive military strike and bomb it back into the Bronze Age. But we can't, because it is not a rogue state. It's an industry. The good news is we don't have to bomb it. We can just stop buying it. So George Bush was wrong. The axis of evil does not run through Iraq, Iran, and North Korea. It runs through our dining tables. Weapons of mass destruction are our knives and forks, and increasingly our chopsticks. You see, the Stone Age didn't end because we ran out of stones. This disgusting industry will end because we run out of excuses. So I say to you, ladies and gentlemen, that veganism is the Swiss Army knife of the future. One instrument solves our ethical, economic, environmental, water, health problems, and ends animal cruelty forever. Understanding ahimsa rearranges the furniture of your mind. And farmers are the ones with the most to gain. Farming won't end, it would boom. Only the product line would change. Farmers would make so much money they wouldn't even bother counting it. And I'd be the first to applaud them. Believe me, veganism is the engine of redirected economic growth. Governments would love us. New industries would emerge and flourish. Health insurance premiums would plummet. Hospital waiting lists would disappear. Hell, we would be so healthy, we'd have to shoot someone just to start a cemetery. Indeed, the AMA has called for meat to be banned in all hospitals, and the World Health Organization now strongly recommends a vegan diet for everybody. Recently, 40 investors with over $2 trillion in cash called on all global food companies to replace animal protein with plant protein. And the plant-based food industry is growing rapidly. Even at this early stage, it already contributes $14 billion to the US economy, created 60,000 jobs last year, pays the workers $13,000 a year more than the average American salary, paid $1.1 billion in tax, produces 1/10 of the greenhouse gas emissions of beef, and it gets no subsidies. And veganism now gives us the peace dividend. I addressed the world's Parliament of Religions and I said, the peace map is drawn on a menu. Peace is not just the absence of war, it is the presence of justice. So talking about peace whilst killing animals is like loving literature and burning books. They are mutually exclusive ideas. Justice must be blind to race, color, religion, and to species. If it is not blind, it will be used as a weapon of terror in those ghastly gulags we call factory farms, where Lord Acton said, absolute power corrupts absolutely. Seneca, the Roman statesman, wrote of Piso's justice, let justice be done, though heavens may fall. You see, we need a new kind of jurisprudence, a new legal system, a foro conscientiae, a court of the conscience. So in my journey through Joseph Conrad's Heart of Darkness, I've learned that a man is measured not by how much money he makes, but by how much of it he's willing to give away, particularly to strangers. And I've learned that if you wish to increase your share of happiness, do not aim to increase your possessions, simply decrease your desires. So Socrates and Epicurus were right. The unexamined life is not worth living. It's not a life, it's a life sentence. Believe me, you do not find your character on Wall Street because it lives on the road to Damascus. And my heart resonates to the poet W.H. Auden. If equal affection cannot be, let the more loving one be me. Now, Martin Luther King said, Cowardice asked the question, is it safe? Expediency asked the question, is it polite? Vanity asked the question, is it popular? But conscience asked the question, is it right? Is killing right? Now, I speak to audiences in many countries, to a lot of people, and they're all good, caring, loving, decent people who genuinely want to change the world, as long as they don't have to change themselves. But life does not work that way. First, we change in our hearts, and then the world follows. True leaders like you must face our own demons courageously. Martin Niemöller, the German priest, philosopher, and U-boat captain, spent 8 years in prison for condemning German intellectuals for being cowards. And he wrote, "When the Nazis came for the communists, I remained silent. I was not a communist. When they locked up the Democrats, I remained silent. I was not a Democrat. When they came for the trade unionists, I did not speak out. I was not a trade unionist. When they came for the Jews, I remained silent. I was not a Jew. And then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak out." Men and women of integrity like you must speak out and act courageously. Is it not better to light a candle than to curse the darkness? All the darkness in the world cannot put out the light of a single candle. You see, I believe another day is dawning, and if I close my eyes, I can feel her heartbeat. I know it won't be easy, so do not be afraid. Remember Gandhi's words. First they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, and then you win. The last sentence of Scott Fitzgerald's book, The Great Gatsby, reads, "So we beat on, boats against the tide, drawn back ceaselessly into the past." I ask you, are we to live forever in a sick, smug, and cruel past? Let's not relive history. Let's make history, because that is what leaders do. They make history. At Jaina, let's make sure that we lead and make sure that this becomes the Ahimsa century. Judge White's closing words in The Bonfire of the Vanities were these: "The law is humanity's first attempt at decency." So I ask you to join us in a battle, in a war that decency cannot afford to lose. Because in the end, only three things matter: how deeply you loved, how gently you lived, and how gracefully you let go of things that were not meant for you. Meat was not meant for you. Our animal cousins have survived millions of years of evolution. They've earned the right to share this planet with us in peace, and they have waited long enough. The brutes and the bullies have been Goliath, but David is coming. Maybe he is in this room. Maybe he is one of you. And if not you, who? And if not now, when? Thank you all for being here. Jai Hind.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Philip Collin. People, the Times of India, and many more publications. She believes the three most important things in life are to be kind, and to be kind. Here to tell us about the ways Jains can lead in kindness, please give a warm welcome to Miss Ingrid Newkirk.
Oh, am I going to do it? Yes, please. Thank you, everybody. It's wonderful to be at Jaina, and I thank every single person who has helped with volunteerism, with organization. This is a stupendous and amazing gathering, a super convention, and I thank you all for having me. So Jai Jinendra, everybody, Jai Jinendra. I would like to dedicate my talk today to Guru Chitrabhanuji. Gurudev was very precious to me and his family, his wife Pramoda, his sons, his daughter-in-law Rukchaka, are personal friends of mine. And Gurudev was always so helpful and so kind. And I think there is nothing more important than recognizing him because, of course, he attended his last Jaina conference before and will never attend one again. So we are all here in his spirit. In 1983, in Mumbai, Chitrabhanuji coined the phrase reverence for life, and he asked the whole world to consider that ahimsa should never be limited to not killing, but should mean unconditional respect and friendship to every single living being. He believed that our self-worth, like Sadhguru, he said, cannot be measured by the number of our physical possessions, but by the number of blessings we collect from all living beings. He was a wonderful man. He led an exemplary and wonderful life, and he had a wonderful message. And in January, my new book, Animal Kind, will be dedicated to him. For those of you who don't know me, I met Guruji in India where I grew up. Children are always asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? And some of us in our class said, oh, ballerinas or jet pilots. And I always said I wanted to be a Jain. And perhaps that's because Jains have always been not only the most well-educated, but the most ethical of peoples. I went to eye hospitals run by Jains, to bird hospitals run by Jains, and it was the Jains who always showed me the absolute worth of kindness. It's lovely to know that I don't have to convince you that animals don't belong in circuses, dominated into performing stupid tricks. I also don't have to persuade you that the animal's fur is not there to be made into coyote fur collars on Canada Goose jackets. And you know that the Dharma, the cosmic order, places not one above the other, but all living beings together. The others are not like us. The others are us. We are but one instrument in the great orchestra of life. Best of all, I don't have to convince any of you that we shouldn't be killing animals for food. Western society is just catching up with that idea.
At the beginning, there was fire. It burned.
We need sound.
Inside the heart of the warrior. He, provider and protector, in the fight against starvation. Every day, a departure into the unknown. In a world without mercy, it was to eat or to be eaten. But today is today. So please, cut the Stone Age mentality. We can totally chew on something different than tortured animals.
So today, vegan meats are so successful that customers at Whole Foods who thought they were getting real chicken salad, for 3 days were getting soya chicken salad, and nobody complained. It was a mistake that nobody noticed. This is a joyous error on the part of their staff, and one we hope will be repeated, and one that we can repeat in our own homes when we feed people. I'm sorry to say, however, that many good people, even many Jains, don't grasp the fact that eating dairy is far, far worse than eating meat. Or if they do, they try to forget it. And this is something that Guruji always tried to make clear. If anyone says to you, but they don't kill the cow, do they? Please tell them that yes, they do kill the cow. There is seldom a retirement home. After a lifetime of torture and sorrow, they will kill her. So if we eat dairy, we are party to that slaughter. Even in India, I have seen the cattle go off on a hideous journey to be killed in the Middle East, or often to be secretly slaughtered. There are gaushalas, there are principals, but where do all the dairy cows go? In the West, cows used for dairy never retire. They're jabbed and they're kicked down the slaughterhouse ramp after a hard life of involuntary servitude, having been totally conquered and controlled, the very antithesis of ahimsa. Just think, the cow is called mother, yet her motherhood is totally denied her. She's artificially inseminated, which means she's raped with a man's hand up inside her, carrying a syringe. It's unpleasant to look at, but can you imagine what it must be like to experience? Remember the call to asteya or achurya, not stealing. How can humans steal the milk that nature or God intended for the cow's babies? How can we justify taking her calves forcibly away from her like this? She's a gentle giant, and all she can do is cry and follow as best she can what happens to her calf, who, if male, will become veal cutlets, and if female, will join her back in that whole dairy slave organization. This is a device that's used to stop a calf from drinking his mother's milk, his own mother's milk. And this is a restraint that's used to hold a calf in place for various mutilations, like burning the horn buds out of his little head. If we are ever tempted to eat dairy, please remember Gupti, the call for restraint. Not that vegans will miss anything, they won't. Today we have huge choices of milks and cheeses and curds, cheeses made from cashews, from soy, from almonds, from hemp, from oats, and more. There is even a vegan camembert cheese, which is considered a sign of culinary sophistication. It's called camembert, vert, of course, being French for green. It's not green cheese, which is on the moon, but it's green in the best way. So if someone says to you, "Oh, it's too hard to live without cheese," please tell them it's a lot harder for the cow if they carry on eating it. If someone says, "I can't imagine living without milk," yes, they can imagine that, but neither the cow nor her calves will live if we keep on drinking it. And one last thing on that subject. How odd it is that an adult still drinks milk at all, because milk is for babies. And not just mother's milk, but some other species' milk we drink. Here is another little video for you.
New dairy product being launched. Hi, come in and take a seat. Thanks for coming. So this is a focus group for a new dairy brand. Would you like to try new milk? Give it a try.
Can I taste it?
Yeah, it's for you. Tell me what you think. Have a taste.
Tastes kind of sweet as well.
Yeah. Sweet.
Well, Jersey milk is nice.
White. It seems whiter than white.
This is just smooth. It's like a milkshake, basically, but smooth. That's regular cow's milk?
It's dog's milk.
What? Fuck me. What do you mean that's dog's milk? Dog milk? Milk for dogs?
Why you give me, I drink dog milk.
You mean that this is produced by a dog?
You should have said that first.
Promoting dog milk now.
Dog milk.
Instead of cow milk.
Yes.
Shame.
Milk from dogs?
Would you ever drink that madness?
No.
Never.
No.
Never. Would you drink it?
You know there's pus in cow's milk.
What do you mean by pus? Is that like fat?
Like pus, like stuff you get from boils.
Oh my god, are you kidding?
No.
Oh.
There will be a big advertising campaign that will explain all of this.
Don't use that picture.
It's disgusting.
Are you being serious?
What's the difference? But I mustn't stick to just food and dairy. I have to mention animal experiments, in which every fool thing on earth is done to animals, and I do mean every fool thing. Unjustifiable on scientific grounds, let alone on ethical grounds. Even studies in which monkeys are shown various advertisements and deprived of food until they pick one with or without sex in it. That's an actual funded experiment. In some experiments, mother monkeys are removed from their infants, and their infants are scared by men wearing mechanical masks or using mechanical snakes. Then there are experiments like this, in which mice are used purportedly to study depression. Pfizer and many of the pharmaceutical companies do this. The mice are panicking. They don't know what's happening. They swim because they think they're going to drown. And someone stands there with a stopwatch and simply shows how long it takes before the mouse gives up. Does that help us know anything about depression? The mice aren't used for any scientific reason. They're used because they are small, they are cheap, and they are easy to handle. That is not science. Years ago, the University of California at Riverside blinded this baby monkey. His name is Britches, and I'm grateful to Manish Mehta and Sulik Jain for supporting our work to stop other animal experiments going on there at UC Riverside now. Please go to our website and see these videos and pass them on to others. Most of what I say to you is something that I hope that you will pass on to other people. Animal experiments are unethical, of course they are, because they involve human supremacism and the use of force, but they are also useless. Dr. Richard Klausner, the former director of the National Cancer Institute, said, "We have cured cancer in mice for decades, but it never worked in humans." In fact, the National Academy of Sciences noted that nearly 150 compounds were approved for clinical trials in humans after showing success in treating inflammatory disorders in mice, and none, not one, ended up working in humans. We have to get away from the use of animals in experiments. Far more accurate non-animal tests are widely available. And recently, we not only have organs on a chip, including lungs and liver on a chip, but we have whole human DNA on the internet. And researchers have now made a human heart using a 3D printing machine. You may wish to invest in these new technologies. And if you're in a position to object to them because you work in a pharmaceutical company or have an interest in that area, please help modernize research by getting away from the patter of little feet. But I want to talk about who animals are. To start with, just as there is no biological evidence that supports discrimination based on human racial categories, and just as it is absurd to use such differences as skin color, eye shape, or hair texture as a basis for discrimination, it is also absurd to use arbitrary factors like having a tail or fur or feathers as a way to separate the other animals from us so that we can discriminate, bully, harm, and kill them. And just as categorizing other individuals occurs because it is advantageous to certain people and allows the oppression of others, animals' interests are ignored for the same reason, because allowing their oppression is advantageous to some. It is only prejudice that allows us to say that those with only skin, not with fur, feathers, or scales, should be allowed to cage, to chain, and to slaughter those whose skin happens to be covered. Why? What counts is not what any one of us looks like, but that we have feelings, we have emotions, and we have pain receptors. Look at these two individuals. They're the size of my thumb. We have, no, that's Switzerland. That won't work. Any chance? Hang on a minute. Maybe. Coming back? No. It's very pretty, though. What I was going to show you, and what we may show you, is some tiny little creature, a snail and another animal who are the size of my thumb, and we have no idea what they're thinking. But the thing is, it's none of our business. They're not ours to poke or to prod or to capture or to snuff out. I don't know how anyone can think that it is somehow demeaning to think that tiny animals, ones we're not familiar with, ones we may dislike, should be harmed any more than others. What we should be is linked, not ranked. Are we going to have any chance of getting this back? It's up there? There! Those little individuals. The philosopher Jeremy Bentham noted, "It is only the hand of human tyranny that rejects the proposition that consideration of interests must extend beyond the human animal." I am one of those supposedly superior human beings, and yet I can't remember anything that happened beyond last Tuesday. And sometimes I write it down and I look at my hand or what I've written it on, and I can't figure out what it means. Sometimes I can't even find my car keys. Yet fish can retain a memory for more than 7 years. Monkeys have gone without food for 11 days rather than shock a monkey in an adjoining cage. Storks don't have maps, but they fly 5,000 miles away from home in winter and find their way back to the very same rooftop as the year before. Beavers build elaborate homes in water with separate rooms for sleeping, for food storage, and for waste. Squirrels find food without a supermarket, and they bury it by the location of the stars. All living beings think, and they feel, and they figure things out for themselves, like this squirrel.
This little guy's been working for about 15 minutes, and I had the lid on tight because I didn't want to make it easy for him. So now you see him, he's thinking about giving up. But one more try here, and you see him actually start turning the lid, and then once he realizes, he takes hold of it, unscrews it, grabs the lid, runs to the neighbor's yard and hides it, and then comes back for his reward.
He's so smart. Swallows use mud to set a broken bone, and seagulls weigh risks. Maybe you've seen this.
Oh, the gall.
What are you looking?
Nonsense about how some animals have the intelligence of a human child. They are far more intelligent than that. A 1-year-old crow figures how to drop rocks into water to make food rise to the top. An 8-month-old cow can operate gate latches and water pumps just by observing someone else who has done it. And a donkey of just 5 months of age who comes across an obstacle can sometimes figure out exactly what to do. Show me any human child of under a year who could do any of those things. The little tiny ant sends out chemical signals when they're injured, and their friends come to rescue them. There is a researcher, Dr. Eric Frank, at the University of Würzburg, which is one of the premier learning institutes in the world. He studies empathy, and this is how he does it. He records how one ant reacts when he cuts the leg of another ant. And he watches other ants come to help the injured ant and carry her to safety. Is Dr. Frank superior to the ants who come to the aid of the ant that he injured deliberately? I don't think so. So how dare anyone eat what was meant for the animal's children? How dare anyone experiment on them or wear wool, which is the sheep's own clothing, which we have to accost and mug them to steal? Knowing that sheep build friendships, they stick up for one another in fights. They feel deeply sad when their friends are sent away for any reason, which is usually sent away to slaughter. How dare anyone wear down feathers or put them in their bedspreads when they too are stolen from mugged animals, in that case geese. Geese who love their goslings with all their hearts, who mate for life, who cannot defend themselves in any way against our might. Videos of cruelty to animals of all sizes, shapes, everything, in all manner of pursuits are on our website at peter.org, and I ask you to please not only watch them yourself, but show them to other people, other kind people who have not a clue where what they're wearing, what's on their feet, what's on their plate, how they're entertaining themselves, and what they're buying comes from, the price that animals pay. There's a lot of talk these days about the prospect of life on other planets, and I sometimes wonder what aliens would make of us if they did contact us. Will they conclude that we are too stupid and our behaviors too primitive and our language gibberish, and treat us as we treat the other forms of life right here on Earth? Stephen Hawking, brilliant astronomer, was worried what would happen if aliens came here. We can only hope he was wrong. You don't have to be rich to be a social activist. It just takes compassion and the will to use the enormous powers we have as human beings, the most privileged species on the face of the earth. But if you are rich, you can certainly do a lot. For instance, investments are an excellent way to further Jain values, and wise, socially responsible investments are neatly summarized in Atul Jain's new book, Jainism and Ethical Finance, which I highly recommend. Firms like Calvert actively lobby companies to end inhumane practices, and Peter's investments are handled by RBC Wealth Management, which screens out any industry or any company that exploits animals. Venture capitalists are now investing in the most exciting new food and materials. The 2021 Volkswagen Rooms SUV has a vegan leather interior made from apple skins. And we have been at every Tesla shareholder meeting, and we now have Elon Musk's absolute assurance that not only will the Tesla Y model be vegan in the future, but every Tesla model will have the vegan option. And if you want to get bigger and better than Tesla, there's always Ferrari. Ferrari has a vegan leather interior as an upgrade in its new convertible. So all this innovation is vital, given that the United Nations estimates that over 3 billion cows, goats, and sheep were killed for their skins in 2012, the last available year for statistics, the number now being far, far higher. So thank goodness we have companies that are making pineapple leather, mushroom leather, synthetic wool, vegan orange skin silk. It's all an investor's dream. If you're a business owner, there are other ways to help too. Craig Morganson is the owner of Holiday Systems International, and what he does is reimburse his employees' lunch costs if they give him a receipt for a vegan meal. So Craig saves the lives of about 30 animals a year per employee, and his employees' arteries can thank him for that. So, Satya means truth, and the truth is that animals need the help of each and every one of us constantly. Please be vegan yourself in word, in deed, in what you wear, all you eat, what you buy, and much more. And please spread your wonderful example of Jain values to others. When I was a little girl, my Jain friends never said to me, you should be vegetarian, let alone you should be vegan. They didn't press their values on me. And there is nothing more wonderful than Jain values. So please press them on everyone you meet without any excuse to do so unfailingly and always. I'm going to leave you with this little video, and I ask that you go to our website, get it, and pass it on. Thank you.
We are all the same in all the ways that matter. It doesn't matter what we look like, how old we are, what language we speak, or who we love. It doesn't matter if we have fur or feathers or fins, the length of our nose, or the number of legs. We're not different in any important way. We all have thoughts and feelings. We all feel love and pain and loneliness and joy. We can all understand, but we are not always understanding. We experience ourselves as separate from the rest, but none of us deserves to be treated with less respect. Our task must be to break free from prejudice and to see ourselves in everyone else.
Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Together, let us pray for peace and harmony for humankind. Let's make this world a better place to live in. Thank you. After listening to today's talks, I am reminded that Vaishnav jane to tene kahiye je peed parai jaane re par dukhe उपकार करे तोए मन अभिमान नाणे रे वैष्णव जन तो. Big round of applause for all our speakers today. महापुरुषों को शब्दों में बांधना हमारी नासमझी है. विराट विश्व को कैसे बांध पाओगे आप चंद शब्दों में? सूरज को क्या रोशनी दिखाओगे आप एक छोटे दिए से? परम पूज्य वंदनीय आचार्य श्री यशो विजय जी महाराज साहेब के चरणों में विधिवत वंदना करते हुए आइए सुनते हैं आशीर्वचन के बोल पूज्य श्री यशो विजय जी महाराज साहब के मुखारबिंद से.
तत्व तू, तीर्थ तू, तारणहार तू, गुण नो वैभव तू, गुरु धैर्य तू, ध्यान तू, ध्येय मारु तू, सरळ स्वभावी तू, आत्मशोधी ना योगी, आत्मसुख ना भोगी, आत्मानंदी गुरु तू, अध्यात्मना योगी, भक्ती मार्गना जोगी, समतानी प्रतिमा तू, गुरु तत्व तू, तीर्थ तू, तारणहार तू, गुण नो वैभव तू, गुरु धैर्य तू, ध्यान तू, ध्येय मार तू, सरळ स्वभावी तू. तुझ वचन मा माधुर्य, तुझ नयन मा वात्सल्य, मुझ आत्मशिल्पी गुरुवर मारी माता तू, तुझ हृदय मा करुणा, तुझ चित्त मा निर्मळता, प्रभुतानी प्रतिमा जिनवर तणी वाणी तो, मळजो भव भव गुरु मने तारोज संगात, शुभ योग तारो पामी खाऊ भोवती विस्तार, गुरु तत्व तू, तीर्थ तू, तारणहार तू, गुणी नो वैभव तू, गुरु धैर्य तू, ध्यान तू, ध्येय मारु तू, सरळ स्वभावी तू.
नमो हरिहंताण, नमो सिद्धाण, नमो आयर्याण, नमो वज्राय, नमो नो वै सर्वसार, तेसो पंचणमुक्कार, सर्वपावपणासो, मंगलां च सर्वेसिं परमं हवै मङ्गलम्. आदिमं पृथिवीनाथ, मादिमं निष्परिग्रहम्, आदिमं तीर्थनाथं च वृषभस्वामिनस्तु नः. ज्ञानध्यानक्रियादिकार्यकुशलम् प्रद्युम्न देता गुरु, अन्तर्लोचनमेकमस्ति सुतरां हृद्भासितं यस्य वै. ओङ्कारेण सुसेवितोऽपि सततम् ओङ्कारसेवापर, सोऽयं सौम्यमनः सदा विजयते श्रीसिद्धिसुरेश्वर. सोऽयं सौम्यमनः सदा विजयते भद्रसूरीश्वर सोऽयं सौम्यवरः सदा विजयते ओङ्कारसूरीश्वर सोऽयं सौम्यवरः सदा विजयते अरविन्दसूरीश्वर। अमेरिका में रहते हुए भक्त जब वंदनार्थ आते हैं तब वहां की स्वाध्याय प्रवृत्तियों की और भक्ति प्रवृत्तियों की बातें करते हैं। उन बातें सुनकर बहुत ही आनंद होता है कि वहां भी ऐसी सुंदर धाराएं चल रही है। हमारी भक्ति धारा का अर्थ है प्रभु की आज्ञा के प्रति हमारा समर्पण। और इस संदर्भ में भक्ति धारा के 3 चरण हैं। अहोभाव, रागद्वेष की शिथिलता और स्वानुभूति। पहला चरण है अहोभाव। हमारी परंपरा ही अहोभाव की एक भीगेपन की रही है। प्रभु को देखते ही देखते हम भाव विभोर हो जाते हैं। चैतन्य देव ने शिक्षाष्टक में कहा है, नयनम करदस्सुधारया वदनम कदकदरुस्थया धीरा पुलकित निचितम वपुः कदा तव नामक ग्रहणे भविष्यति। प्रभु, ऐसा समय कब आएगा जब मैं तेरा नाम लूंगा, तेरा दर्शन करूंगा और मेरी आंखों से आंसू बहेंगे, मेरे कंठ में सिसकियां होगी, मेरा शरीर रोमांच से पूर्ण हो जाएगा। यही बात नारद ऋषि ने भक्ति सूत्र में कहा। एक भक्त ने नारद ऋषि से पूछा कि जब भक्त इकट्ठे होते हैं और प्रभु की बातें करते हैं तो किस भाषा से करते हैं? बड़ा ही सुंदर उत्तर नारद ऋषि ने दिया। कंठावरोध रोमांचाश्रुभिः परस्परं लघ्वाना पावयन्ति कुलानि पृथ्वी। नारद ऋषि का भक्ति सूत्र भक्ति योग में माइलस्टोन कृति है। तो नारद ऋषि इस सूत्र में कहते हैं कि जब 2 भक्त इकट्ठे होते हैं तब उनकी भाषा आंखों की भाषा होती है। आंखों से आंसू झर रहे होते हैं। उनकी भाषा कंठ की भाषा होती है। कंठ से सिसकियां प्रकट रही होती है। उनकी भाषा शरीर की भाषा है। पूरे शरीर से रोमांच प्रकट होते हैं। तो अहोभाव की धारा एक विरासत में हमें मिली हुई धारा है। मैं भी अहोभाव की धारा का पक्षपाती हूं। पक्षपाती इसलिए हूं कि दूसरे चरण में रागद्वेष अहंकार की शिथिलता जो हमें चाहिए वो अहोभाव की धारा से सरलता से मिल जाती है। दूसरा चरण है भक्ति यात्रा का रागद्वेष अहंकार की शिथिलता। प्रभु से पूछा गया है कि प्रभु आपकी आज्ञा क्या है? तो प्रभु ने कहा है तह पवट यम रागत दोषा विनिच्चन्ति। जब जब तू मेरी आज्ञा पथ में दौड़ेगा, तेरा राग, तेरा द्वेष, तेरा अहंकार शिथिल होना चाहिए। तू मेरे आज्ञा पथ पर दौड़ रहा है, इसका एक ही असर होगा, राग द्वेष अहंकार की शिथिलता। और तुझे ये शिथिलता प्राप्त नहीं हुई है तो मानना चाहिए कि तू मेरे आज्ञा पथ पर नहीं दौड़ रहा है। और इसी कड़ी में उत्तराधर सूत्र में प्रभु ने खुद ने साधन की चर्या बतलाई है। पूछा गया है प्रभु से कि प्रभु, एक साधक की भीतरी चर्या क्या होगी? तो प्रभु ने कहा है, चरे पयाई परिसंक बाणो जंकिंची पासम यह मन न बाणो। साधक संसार में ऐसे चले जागृति के साथ कि एक पल भी उसका राग द्वेष से सदा न हो। उसे लगता है यहां से बंधन हो जाएगा राग का, यहां से द्वेष का बंधन हो जाएगा, तो मेरा साधन जागृति से चलना है। यूं हम देखें तो साधक के लिए केवल जागृति एक पूर्ण मंत्र के रूप में है। भक्त के लिए क्षण क्षण का सुमिरन होता है। साधक कौन है? जो क्षण क्षण के लिए जागृत है। इसी जागृति की कड़ी में महोपाध्याय यशो विजय जी ने श्रीपाद रास में एक बहुत अच्छी बात की है। एक साधक ने महोपाध्याय जी से पूछा कि 45 आगमों में जो प्रभु की आज्ञा फैली हुई है उसका सार क्या है? साधक की आत्मा आंसू थे, गुरुदेव हम तो कब 45 पूजनीय आगम ग्रंथों को पढ़ेंगे, कब सुनेंगे? जीवन तो छोटा सा ही है, तो गुरुदेव कृपा करो। और 45 आगम ग्रंथों में प्रभु की जो आज्ञा फैली हुई है उसका सार हमें दे दो। और तब उपाध्याय जी भगवंत ने श्रीपाद रास में गुजराती भाषा में इसका सार दिया है। आत्म भावे स्थिर हो जो पर भावे मत राजो। आत्मभाव में स्थिर होना है, पर भाव में नहीं जाना है। पर भाव में नहीं जाना कहा है, और में नहीं जाना ऐसा नहीं कहा। प्रभु कह रहे हैं कि तेरे पास शरीर है तो तू चाय पी सकता है, तू भोजन ले सकता है। प्रभु ने ऐसा कभी नहीं कहा कि मेरे साधना पद पर आना है तो वार्षिक श्रवण मुझे करना पड़ेगा। प्रभु ने ऐसा भी नहीं कहा है कि तुझे आज उपवास करने पड़ेंगे। ऐसा भी प्रभु ने नहीं कहा कि आयुर्वेद तुझे रोज के करने पड़ेंगे। प्रभु कहते हैं खाना हो तो खा ले, पीना हो तो पी ले। अरे दिन में 4 बार चाय पी ले, लेकिन चाय पी के समय एक जागृति होनी चाहिए। चाय टेस्टी है ऐसा मानकर राग की धारा में नहीं जाना है, चाय अनटेस्टी है ऐसा मानकर द्वेष की धारा में नहीं जाना है। तो ऐसी जागृति जब जब भी निमित्त मिल जाए, प्रभाव में जाने का, यानी कि राग में जाने का, द्वेष में जाने का, अहंकार में जाने का, साधक जागृत हो जाए। ये जागृति, यही पूरा रक्षा कवच है साधक का। मैं तो बार बार कहता हूं कि प्रभु की रक्षा कवच में हम है, और मैं कहता हूं कि सरेंडर के सामने कैद। जितना हमारा प्रभु की आज्ञा के प्रति समर्पण होता है, ऐसा ही केयर हमारा लिया जाता है। तो प्रभु सुरक्षा चक्र देने के लिए तैयार है। प्रभु की कृपा सतत बरस रही है हमारे पास। उसको झेलने की रिसेप्टिविटी चाहिए। मेरे देखे तो पूरे जीव शासन की तत्व ज्ञान की आधारशिला रिसेप्टिविटी है। प्रभु बरस ही रहे हैं। लोगों से सूत्र में हम कहते हैं तीर्थरामे पसियन्तु, तीर्थंकर भगवंतों का प्रसाद मुझे मिले। ये सुंदर प्रार्थना है, लेकिन एक सवाल होगा कि क्या तीर्थंकर प्रभु का प्रसाद सतत बरस नहीं रहा है? अरे सतत बरस रहा है, तो फिर भक्त ये प्रार्थना क्यों करता है? तीर्थरामे पसियन्तु, प्रभु तेरा प्रसाद मुझ पर उतरो। तो ये बात रिसेप्टिविटी के संदर्भ में है। प्रभु तेरी कृपा तो सतत बरस ही रही है, लेकिन मैं स्वीकार नहीं कर सकता हूं। मेरे पास अहोभाव की ऐसी भूमिका नहीं है, तेरी आज्ञा के प्रति समर्पितता की ऐसी भूमिका नहीं है कि मैं तेरे प्रसाद को स्वीकार कर सकूं। तो प्रभु ये भी तुझे ही देना है। तू सद्गुरु चेतना को मेरे पास भेज, कुछ भी कर, मैं तेरी आज्ञा के प्रति समर्पित हो जाऊं, और ये मेरी रिसेप्टिविटी हो जाएगी। और रिसेप्टिविटी मुझे मिल जाएगी तो तेरा पूरा सुरक्षा चक्र मुझे मिल जाएगा। ऐसा सुरक्षा चक्र प्रभु तुझसे मुझे मिलेगा। एक क्षण भी मैं राग द्वेष में नहीं जाऊंगा। एक क्षण भी मेरा अहंकार से सदा हुआ नहीं होगा। प्रभु तो कितना तो बरसता है, तो बरस ही रहा है। अनगिनत जन्मों में हमने तेरी कृपा को झेली नहीं, बस इस जन्म में तेरी कृपा को स्वीकार करनी है। और इसलिए रिसेप्टिविटी हमारे पास नहीं है, तो रिसेप्टिविटी भी तुझे देनी है। तो भक्ति यात्रा का पहला चरण था अहोभाव, दूसरा चरण है राग द्वेष अहंकार का शैथिल्य। एक जागृति आ जाएगी, एक रिसेप्टिविटी आ जाएगी। राग द्वेष का शैथिल्य कोई दूर की घटना नहीं। उपमिति में सिद्धर्षि ने एक बड़ी ही सुंदर बात कही है। सिद्धर्षि उपमिति में कहते हैं कि प्रभु न तो राग में ऐसा कोई आकर्षण है, न अहंकार में कोई ऐसा आकर्षण है कि मैं खींच कर वहां जाऊं। सिर्फ अनादि की संज्ञाओं से वासित मेरा मन वहां बार बार जाता है। अनाद्यभ्यास योगेन विषयांशुचि कर्मणे गर्ति सुकर संकाशम याति भी चतुरम वरम। तो प्रभु न राग में कुछ आकर्षण है, न द्वेष में कुछ खिंचाव है, न अहंकार में कोई आकर्षण है, लेकिन मैं चाहता हूं। फिर भी अब लगता है तेरा शासन मिल गया है, तेरी साधना पद्धति मुझे मिल गई। इसी साधना पद्धति जिसमें व्यवहार और निश्चय का एक पूर्ण बैलेंसिंग है, तो मुझे लगता है, एक विश्वास होता है कि तेरा सुरक्षा चक्र मुझे मिल गया और मैं राग द्वेष अहंकार में एक क्षण के लिए भी नहीं जाऊंगा। तो अहंकार की धारा में प्रभु मैं दूसरे चरण पर आ गया। राग द्वेष का शैथिल्य, अहंकार का शैथिल्य मुझे मिल गया। अब प्रभु मुझे तीसरे चरण में जाना है। तीसरा चरण स्वानुभूति। तेरी ही आग्रह है प्रभु, तूने कहा है कि तू स्वयं में डूब जा। आपने बहुत ही प्यारे शब्दों में कहा है कि बेटा बाहर कुछ नहीं है, जो भी है तेरे भीतर ही है। बाहर तो रति और अरति है, बाहर हर्ष और शोक है, बाहर सुख और दुख है, आनंद तो तेरे पास ही है। यदि आनंद धन तुझे बनना है, तेरे भीतर तुझे जाना पड़ेगा। तो प्रभु आपकी आज्ञा का ये स्वीकार मुझे करना है। प्रभु पर में बहुत रहा, अनगिनत जन्मों में मैं पर में ही रहा, न कुछ मिला, लगता है न कुछ मिल सकता है। पर में जाने से, राग द्वेष में जाने से मैंने नर्क और निरोध की यात्रा की। और मैं मानता हूं प्रभु कि तेरी कृपा से स्वयं में मैं डूब जाऊं, स्वानुभूति की यात्रा हो जाए, घना आनंद मेरे पास होगा। तू जो आनंद बरसा रहा है प्रभु, उस आनंद की अनुभूति मेरे पास होगी। तो प्रभु अहोभाव भी देना है मुझको तुझे, और अहोभाव की धारा में आगे चलाकर राग द्वेष का शैथिल्य भी तुझे देना है, और राग द्वेष अहंकार के शैथिल्य होने पर स्व में डूब जाने की स्वानुभूति की यात्रा भी तुझे करानी है। ये हमारी भक्ति यात्रा है। तो वो ये आनंद है कि अमेरिका में भी ऐसी भक्ति यात्रा, ऐसी स्वाध्याय यात्रा सुचारू ढंग से संपन्न हो रही है। जैना के माध्यम से बहुत ही प्रचार हुआ हमारी की पद्धतियों का। मैं जैना संस्था के प्रतिनिधियों को हार्दिक आशीष देता हूं कि आपकी यह प्रवृत्ति बहुत ही विस्तृत हो, पूरी अमेरिका में ही नहीं, पूरे संसार में जहां भी आप पहुंच सके, प्रभु के संदेश को आप पहुंचाओ। प्रभु ने अहिंसा का संदेश दिया, प्रभु ने अपरिग्रह का संदेश दिया। आज हम देखते हैं हिंसा से हम सरे हुए हैं, परिग्रह में हम डूबे हुए हैं, हम कितने पीड़ित हैं। चारों ओर हिंसा का साम्राज्य है। इस अंधेरे में शिल्प प्रभु के वचन ही उजाला दे सकते हैं। तो जैना के प्रतिनिधियों को मैं कहूंगा कि आपके माध्यम से प्रभु के ये वचन पूरे संसार में विस्तृत हो और आपको ये विस्तृतीकरण का माध्यम बनाने का प्रभु का भी एक संदेश है, और प्रभु के इस संदेश को आप झेल लो और इस प्रक्रिया में आप आनंद से आगे बढ़ो। सर्वमंगलमांगल्यं सर्वकल्याणकारणं प्रदानं सर्वधर्माणां जैनं जयति।
गुरु तत्व तू, तीर्थ तू, तारणहार तू, गुण नो वैभव।
Now to announce the winner of awards, and to honor Mahasangpati ji, I would like to invite Dr. Nitin Bhai Shah on stage.
Jai Jainendra, there is little change. We have a presidential award to give and proclamation from the city of Cerritos to give. I will request President of Jaina, Gurunbhai Shah, to come and address the presidential awards. And, thanks Jasanbhai for being here. And a round of applause for all those sitting here still. We really appreciate your presence. Thank you.
Thank you, Nitin Bhai. Jai Jainendra, I commend you that even the lunch has started, you people, you guys are still sitting here. It's very commendable. I'm here to just give one award. I don't want to come in between the lunch and us. So just one award because of some circumstances that developed. So I want to invite Dr. Sudhir Bhai Parikh and Dr. Sudha Ben Shah. Parikh, I mean. Let me introduce Dr. Sudhir M. Parikh. Is one of the most honored Indian American. Topping the honors, a 2010 Padma Shri Award confirmed by to the doctor by President of India, Pratima Patil, on March 2012. Dr. Parikh has been nominated Knights of Immaculate Helicopters in UK. He is the recipient of 2006 Pravasi Bharatiya Award. That's the highest award that the United States is giving out. And he is the recipient of 2005 Ellis Island Medal of Honors. That's also one of the topmost honor that has been given to one of the Indians. He is a patron philanthropic, including the chairman and founder of Life Global in New Jersey, USA, and senior advisor to Gujarat-based Project Life. I would like to give this award, one of the Jaina awards, Jaina Presidency Award, to Dr. Sudhir Bhai Parikh and Dr. Sudha Ben Parikh. I'd like to invite Dr. Parikh to say a couple of words.
Mahendra Bhai, Dr. Nitish Bhai, Dr. Jaswant Bhai, and all the organization committee of the Jaina Convention. Really, I'm very touched with your affection and love. But more important that you have recognized activity of the Life Global, which is really helping poor women in India, rehabilitate them and make them self-sufficient. So also thank you, Bhikhu Bhai, B.U. Patel, and all other my friends and philanthropists who generously supports our Life Global activities. And I thank you very much. And God bless you, God bless Jaina, and wish you all the best. Bye.
One more thing I just want to mention about Sudhir Bhai is a mogul media of East part of United States. He owns TV stations, he owns a lot of newspapers, and he has a big office of his medical practice with 200 doctors working with him. Thank you.